We have some big news to go over today as the MLB Insider has come out and dropped a massive report surrounding the Toronto Blue Jays and their trade plans. And this new report is very intriguing and tells us a lot as the deadline inches closer and closer, and Ross Atkins is cooking up something big. We also have another report and rumors surrounding one particular player the Jays are targeting that could change everything for the Jays going forward. We also have a few other updates following a fantastic series win against the Philadelphia Phillies, folks. But before we get into it all, if you're part of the 71% who aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Jays content. Your guys' support has been unbelievable. And as the Jays continue to roll, hopefully you guys can continue, supporting. The support's been unbelievable. So make sure to hit that subscribe button. And again, we're on the road to 20,000 subscribers. Again, you guys have been absolute beasts. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a lot to go over today. The Jays are coming off of their best win, arguably, of the season against the Phillies. They won 9-1. And within all this, there was some more trade speculation. And with the deadline less than 2 months away now, there was tons of rumblings, whether it's from Jeff Passan about Bichette, just Bichette talks in general. We have another report here, and this one's a bit more positive. And this is from Mark Feinsand's latest article. Of course, the Jays currently sit in a wild card spot as of the time of recording. They sit in a playoff spot right now, ladies and gentlemen. And which teams are likely buyers? The categories are far trickier, especially for clubs hovering around the 500 mark. There are some that absolutely figure to be buyers bearing some kind of collapse. You see here at the bottom, the Mariners, Padres, Giants, Cardinals, and certainly the Blue Jays certainly appear to be on a buying track. The Guardians and the Royals, all of whom are firmly in the AL wildcard mix, are as well. So a lot of teams here that are named as buyers. You also see, of course, teams like the Yankees are going to be buyers, but only 2 teams in the AL East this year. And this is big for Mark Feinsand. Very tuned in. He, figures that the Jays are going to be buyers. And the reason this report matters so much is because we've been hearing a lot of speculation from Jeff Passan about whether the Jays are going to be tentative sellers with Bichette, all these different things. And of course, the series win against the Phillies will go a long way towards that, and as will the success of this team up until that July 31st trade deadline. But with the way the team is going right now, we've heard reports, and I've discussed them on the channel about how the Jays are going all in. I've discussed about how Jeff Passan saying the Jays might buy, but also be looking to sell Bichette and trade him off. It appears that according to Feinsand, the Jays are going to be, in all likelihood, big buyers, bearing an unforeseen collapse here. And of course, you look at the standings right now, and of course, the wildcard spot for the first time in a while is very wide open, and so is the AL East. Number one in the AL East, 37-28. The Jays at 33-29. That's not that crazy of a gap. The Jays are 8-2 in their last 10, but specifically the wildcard spot here, that's the difference. Usually, the team in the top spot and also even the team in the second spot are locked in. Teams that get to feast off of the Chicago White Sox. But this year, all the teams are extremely close, and it seems like the Jays have 3 real opportunities here to get in, right? They're a game and a half back of Minnesota. They're a game back of Cleveland. Like, this team can easily, factor in. There's a lot of open wildcard spots, and usually in previous years, because of how good the AL East was, the wild card would be kind of flooded a little bit. There'd be some really good teams, all 1 or 2 teams way ahead. Think of, teams like the Guardians and stuff like that, of course, way ahead in the wild card race. Ladies and gentlemen, this year, it's so wide open that not only is the AL East available if the Toronto Blue Jays can keep it up, but all the wildcard spots are available. And that's why reports are coming out saying the Jays are going to be buyers, saying that, like the report I covered earlier, in this week, the Jays are going all in. They are going all in. And that's why John Schneider said it. That's why Mark Feinsand has said it. What happens with Bichette? He has been the Jays' best player this, I guess, especially during this stretch, arguably this season, but especially during this stretch, at least position player. And they need to they need to go all in. It's simple as that. And we think back to a video and a report from, a little bit ago. I think this was from, a few weeks ago, a couple weeks ago, whenever it was. And I made a video on it specifically regarding Taylor Ward. And there's been a lot of rumblings lately, even in a new article here, just news, of course, this new article by Mark Feinsand about the Jays being buyers. Taylor Ward, since that video, has been absolutely mashing. At the time I recorded it, he was, below league average. But now you can see here the most intriguing name in the market for the Blue Jays is Los Angeles Angels outfielder Taylor Ward. 1 year left of arbitration, and the Angels are looking to move off of the veteran outfielder. Of course, this report came even before the Jays were really rolling. And I was on record saying they could use his power. Is he going to be an average guy? No. But we've seen the impact that Addison Barger has had on this team by just providing an impact bat, right? That is the main culprit to a team's success for the Toronto Blue Jays. And they have a strong, now again, this is a little bit, interesting here. They have a strong outfield and DH position. There's, at the time of the article, they were 3.5 games back of the Yankees for the AL East lead. And according to Joel Roeder of the Bleacher Report, he went on to say, basically, with Anthony Santander and George Springer splitting their time between, and this was before Santander, this article dropped, was even out now. So it makes even more sense. And of course, Santander has been really bad. Alan Roden hasn't been good. It makes even more sense now with Santander out. You'll be able to open up a ton of spots for Taylor Ward. People, on Twitter, around Jays Nation, all these different things, people in Jays land here want, at least some people want Taylor Ward because of his power. Ladies and gentlemen, he has 17 home runs in 60 games. That is on pace for almost over 40 home runs. If you add an outfielder who can provide some, much needed power to this team, you pair it with all the reports that the Jays are buyers, like this, screams a little bit of a Blue Jays move to me. And he's not going to cost a ton because of, the structure of just his play style. He's only 214 batting average. He's really doing so far this year what we hoped Anthony Santander would be doing this year for the Toronto Blue Jays. Low average, lowish on base percentage, and you just hit for power. And hopefully when Santander comes back, he can maybe be that. And maybe, the Blue Jays front office will think it's a little bit redundant. But the Jays are playing so well right now that I think you just have to get impact bats. Is Taylor Ward an impact bat? I would argue that he is because of his power threat. I don't want them to get, defense first guys at the trade deadline. Go for established hitters on teams that are terrible like the Angels and really go all in this season. And they have a ton of prospects that they can do so with. Whether it's guys like Relvis Martinez here, you can see he is now this month 1,100 slugging percentage, 4 homers in 3 games. He is getting his value up as high as he can as soon as possible. We'll have videos coming out on that because he's probably going to get traded or they're going to try to call him up and use him as an impact bat. But his time, like his ETA was last year. And now, of course, you need him to either be an effective MLB or get traded off. I can guarantee you they have a ton of other fringe prospects at this point. I mean, Yohendrick Panago, he has been absolutely fantastic. RJ Schreck, who got promoted recently, all these different guys, they have so many fringe MLBers that are prospects that are shining. They're going to package a bunch of them, and they're going to make a big splash. And that's exciting to see because, ladies and gentlemen, games matter again in March, in April. I mean, a little bit less. Of course, now in May into June. This team is playing well, and it makes the games exciting to watch. And a huge game tonight, of course, against, a very nowhere near as good team, compared to the Phillies. But, man, they have their prospects rolling. Reports coming out they're going to be buying. You have opportunities to get guys like Taylor Ward and more impact players. You have to go in because, as the article says, teams like the Tigers, the Astros, the Yankees, 2 very big threats to the Toronto Blue Jays in a playoff spot here and a playoff race in general, are going to be going in for, the buyers. But the rest of the AL East teams, the Rays, you don't see, they're playing really well. You don't think they're going to buy. The Red Sox, no. The Orioles, no. Things can change, but man, oh man, is it exciting to be, watching fun Blue Jays baseball again. Let me know down below what your thoughts are on that. A couple other things here. The Jays are 33-29 with 100 games remaining. Vibes are at an all-time high right now. It's been 2 years since we've got to watch, exciting baseball. And even then, this team, a lot of things had to go right for them to make a playoff spot. And they have a ton of games left. We're only 65 games into the season. But as you continue to go, right, you have to be able to just continue to roll with the way that this offense is rolling because the offense is playing really well. They struggled a couple games in Philly, but like I mentioned in the video yesterday or the day before yesterday, when they won that big game 2 against the Phillies, their offense was horrible, but they snuck out a win. Those are the games that great teams win because then that puts yourself in a better spot for when your offense is going to be as normal. You went up against Jesus Luzardo, one of the best lefties in the MLB, albeit coming off a bad start, and you mash against them, and it's exciting. The Jays are winning. The team is electric. They have been Barger's been a beast. Kirk's been a beast. It's going to be interesting. One other quick note here, because I didn't cover it in the video yesterday. Tyler Heineman, of course, is back. Heineman is back, as we know. Michael Stefanik and Ali Sanchez are both DFA'd, so some interesting notes there. But ladies and gentlemen, we're going to keep pumping out content for you every single day. A ton of Jays trade news coming. The trade deadline is approaching. Jays are going all in. It's still early. The Jays have to continue to pile on these wins, but you sweep the Athletics. You win the last game of the series against the Rangers. And you win 2 out of 3 against the Phillies. Vibes are high. Jays are good. We'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers.